The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about the insane.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 151.
151.
What is our topic?
This is the dark side of spirituality.
Uh-oh, spooky.
Well, yes and no.
No.
Lots of different things in this episode, but yeah, some of it might be.
Cool. Well, before we hop into it, anything you want to talk about from last week?
Yes, so last week we did to reincarnate or not to reincarnate. Mm-hmm. And Crystal, we answered one of her questions, and then I did the reading for Erin, her cousin. So this was her response. Thanks for this episode. I knew that answer about the cat food. After I typed it out, I thought, man, she's going to tell me no one shoe fits all. And you did. I'm feeding a mix of dry and wet currently, so I will continue on that path. I'm just giggling because I knew that answer but kept second guessing myself. Now for my cousin Aaron, yes, it was extremely sudden last June and totally unnecessary. He was very tortured in this life, later in life self-induced, and in younger years not his fault. And yes, he's so funny. We joked all the time, so sarcastic. He was so uplifting and supportive of me, and I do feel like I should have lifted him up more. We kept trying to get together in recent years and life was just very busy. Thank you so much for this. I do feel like he wasn't really progressing in life and kept creating barriers, turmoil, and health issues for himself. Also so funny, I wanted to ask you a couple weeks ago about exit points in life and if we have control over when we stay or when we go. This reading really resonated with me. Thank you, Samantha. And now I have to go listen to the rest of the episode. And she said after that, she finished up and she loved that episode. So thank you so much for that, Crystal.
Yes,
we really appreciate
Very
that.
Cool.
And then Sunshine, we answered a couple of her questions during last week's episode, and so she sent this. She said, thank you for bringing up my questions. I loved your answers, and especially the ones about animals mating for procreation, then living in all-female communities. Had a good chuckle. But I felt like a bashful fangirl when you talked about me and my name. You can thank my mama for that. She's a deadhead. I was named after the song Sugar Magnolia.
That's awesome. I had a strange feeling, Sunshine. But that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty. So thank you, Sunshine, for that. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
And then every week we answer 2 questions. Excuse me. This one is from Jennifer. She says, I've often wondered if I have childhood trauma that I don't remember or have repressed the memories. Are there ways to remember? Is it better to leave it as it is and not remember? What are your thoughts and or experiences on this topic? And I thought that's a really great question.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of experience with this because in my shadow work, I have had to realize some things about myself that are not my fault. And in that process, I've had flashes of things that I didn't remember before. And they're so vivid, they're like the same flashes that I have when I have visions. So I know that they're real. I think that we're supposed to deal with them. I think shoving them down and pretending like they're not there just makes it worse. Because I used to say, I don't have suppressed memories. How could I have suppressed memories? I don't remember them. That's what suppressed memories are. You don't remember.
Yeah.
There's that time between, like, I don't know, birth and 5, maybe 4 or 5, where we don't really remember anything. But there's a lot of things that are imprinted on us during those years of our life. And that's where a lot of these repressed memories come from. You can even have repressed memories later on. You know, things that just really bad that happen, and so you just shut it out completely. Yeah. One of the ways to go about figuring this out is hypnosis, and probably even the type of hypnosis like what Dolores Cannon does. But I think that's probably the best place to start. Or I don't know if you know where you are in your spiritual journey, Jennifer, but when you start working on shadow work, a lot of the times in like your inner child, these things just come up. You just start to feel like there's something here that I'm missing. Like there's a part of this story or, and they kind of just start to naturally come up as what kind of happened for me, Any insight on that one?
Yeah.
I know you haven't really had much experience with that.
I can't say that I've had a huge amount. No.
Yeah. But that's where I would say to start. And I would say it's absolutely possible, especially if you have things that like, one of the things that I think, especially with women, that we see is hypersexuality. If they were sexually abused before they remember, because you're already kickstarting that in them and they don't know why. And so it just sets off this, this hypersexuality that starts very young. So that could be what we're talking about here, but that's one example if it's not. So I hope that helps answer your question. Yeah. I wish I had more info on that. But, that's where I started. YouTube might be a good place to look up for like self-hypnosis for things like that as well.
Yeah.
So, and then the second question we got is from, so it's from this girl, Desiree, and I'll give you a little history on Desiree. At the beginning of my spiritual journey, I was feeling compelled, I still do, but more so than to reach out to people that weren't coming to me. Like now I find they come to me a lot more natural. But at the beginning I was like, I feel like I should reach out to this person. And Desiree was in one of my migraine groups. And she put a post in there that her husband had died. And he had suffered from migraines. And so she was in there, looking for support. And so I messaged her and I said, if you would like to talk to your husband, I'd be happy to do that for you. And so we did. And we've, built a relationship and she listens and that.
Nice.
So that was 3 years ago. And she is now at the point where she says that she's ready to date. And she's like, but I don't know how. And, a lot of people ask me this question, not just don't know how, but is it okay?
Yeah.
And so I thought we should hit on this question. And so I asked her, I was like, do you mind if I just answer that on the show and not, in PM? So, I don't really know where to start to tell you to look for somebody to date. I think that the universe has the control over this. If you're supposed to find somebody, you will. If you're drawn to something, like let's say that you just feel this like I should online date, and then you're like, oh no, that doesn't sound fun. Go with the original feeling of the I should online date, because that's a lot of times the universe putting that message into your head.
Yes.
Or I should go to the store today, or I should, whatever. These are the ways that the universe sets us up. It makes sure that the person that we're supposed to be with isn't at the same place at the same time as we are.
Yeah.
So I don't think you really even have to do a lot, and I hear this a lot from people when I do love readings. They're like, I don't know how to put myself out there and how I'm going to find somebody because I don't put myself out there. But I promise you that the universe will find a way and bring you the right person. You just have to go with your intuition. Just go with it,
Yeah, and to answer if it's okay when you're ready.
Yes.
When you're ready, and if your feeling sounds like you're feeling like you're ready.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
That's when it's okay, is when you're ready.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not something I understand with a loss like that you can't force that. You have to get to a point, and I say that truly, that any spirit that's crossed over, that's left a loved one behind, a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, partner, they don't want that person to live alone.
No.
Just because that they've been separated now by the death. So it's absolutely okay. When you're ready.
You get mad at me when I say that.
What?
That I say that when you pass, that I'm not going to go be with anybody else. But see, for me, like, I kind of feel like I'd rather be alone.
Well,
like,
you'll probably
that's cool.
be old and decrepit by that anyway.
Yeah, and you're still going to be there in my ear all the time, so what difference does it make? I'll still feel like I'm married to you. You'll still nag me and stuff, so...
Yeah, make her take it off. Take it off.
Oh, my God. Anyways, Desiree, yes, the spirits, they want us to be happy. And if that means that it takes us a month, a year, 10 years, however long it takes for us to feel ready. And it's not about them, because that's all they want. They're just pure
happy.
love. Yeah, they just want us to be happy. And I know a lot of people look at it as like deception, or, if you're married, that you're breaking, some marital contract there. But it says in those those vows till death do us part. And you're not parting. You're still a part of each other's soul family, and you'll be reunited when you are both there.
Yeah.
And, people ask too, like, well, and we thought about this at first too, well, are we going to find each other, because we're married and, you're not your ex-wife. You're not going to go to your ex-wife, right?
Right.
But what we've come to realize is we're all soul family.
Yeah.
And we are not Danny and Samantha in all of our lives.
No.
And so when we get there, it's the soul recognizing the soul, not Danny recognizing, his wife or his ex-wife. So,
Right.
yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Desiree. Just really do what you're comfortable with and go with that intuition.
Yeah.
The universe will guide you to the right person, I promise. And that goes for divorce, too. A lot of people feel like after a divorce, they have to rush back into dating. If you're not ready, there's no rule book here. You just go with what feels good to you.
And if you truly desire it, it will be.
Yes, absolutely. It will happen, and in the right time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we do the one reading a week. So this is for Alyssa. She says, the man to the right is my grandpa. His name is Michael. Oh, funny. And is he proud of me? So this is Michael. It's an older picture. Let's see. Let's talk to Michael and see what he has to say. So Michael's telling me that he took life seriously.
I got
Did
serious.
you get it?
As soon as I wanted to see what you said, but I got it. That's serious. This is serious.
Yeah.
That suit looked serious, Michael.
This suit's awesome. Yeah. But he did. He took it too seriously. He thought that he had to plan everything out and everything had to be, the way that they say it's supposed to be. You get married, you have kids, whatever. You buy the house, you get old, all that. And he realizes now that that's not what this whole thing is about.
Right.
And that he took life way too seriously. I hear that a lot from spirits, a lot. He loved his wife very much, and I feel like they're together, so I'm going to assume that both of them have passed. Because he's showing me this deep admiration for her, and that even like in life, when they die, they like always show this deep love and all of that. But even in life, it was like he did a lot of what he did for her. He really wanted to see his wife happy and loved, and that was. He was a very deep man, and she was the only person that I feel like he could really show that deepness to, that he could open up and be himself with. And that was, the vulnerable side of him that most people did not see. He did have a sense of humor, don't get me wrong. He did. It was just not on the outside always. It was like you had to kind of get to know him before you would feel that, that sense there. So is he proud of you? Of course he's proud of you. He says, how could I not be? You're very smart, he tells me. And I feel like there's something to do with schooling here. I'm not sure if this is like you're in college or getting ready to graduate. I know she's pretty young. But he's telling me that you are very smart and going far with your academics, and that you are going to become everything that you've always dreamed of becoming and more. He is around you all the time. He says that he didn't, know you as well as he would have liked to, of course. And still, you're so young now. And as you get older, you're going to be like, oh, I don't, really super remember my grandpa or these kinds of things. And so he wants you to know that he is around you and that you do recognize his energy. You feel this presence around you. You just don't know who it is, but it is him. And you always make him proud. And really this goes for everybody too, is that even when we do things that maybe we think our ancestors wouldn't be too proud of, they are, because we are showing vulnerability. We're growing, we're learning, we're making mistakes, and being human is absolutely about making mistakes. We're not supposed to be perfect. Yeah. They're just as proud of us when we make mistakes and recognize that as when we are,
Well, the learning really occurs when we do make mistakes.
Yep.
It's supposed to occur.
Yeah, exactly. So he says, don't Don't second guess yourself is another tip that he's giving you. And don't put your own roadblocks up. So allow the universe to guide you in the direction. So like you might feel like you're going one way, and I do this too. I think we both do, where then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh no, roadblock, I'm not ready for this, or this isn't going to go this way, or you start to get discouraged or whatever, and so you stop. No, just keep going. Don't listen to yourself. Listen to the intuition, not the, what would you call it, the logic part of the brain.
Yeah.
Listen to the intuition part. So there you go for Grandpa Michael.
Very cool.
Yay.
Thanks, Grandpa Michael.
Yes, thank you so much.
And Alicia.
Yes, thank you so much. So that's all I have for you from last week.
Very cool. All right, then. Episode 151, The Dark Side of Spirituality.
So this episode, I had this idea for a few reasons. I've started coming across different things that people were asking me about curses and the devil and all this. And I thought, these are the aspects of spirituality that are on the darker side and that we don't always talk about. And I thought we could just put them in one episode and talk about them. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things in here, the things I just mentioned. Plus we'll talk a little bit about religion. The questions and the suggestions all come from our listeners pretty much. So one of the things that it always gets brought up, and Charlie brought it up, is the dark night of the soul. Are you familiar with this? Do you know what the dark night of the soul is?
I can't say I do.
The dark night of the soul, you don't have to go through a spiritual awakening for this, but it is a part of a spiritual awakening. So it's like you can have a dark night outside of it or inside of it.
Okay.
And basically what this is the second portion of the spiritual awakening. This is where everything starts to hit you. This is like the memes where it says what people think a spiritual awakening is actually like, and it's all like happy and stuff, and then it says what it's really like, and people are in the corner going, I'm not crazy. That's the dark night of the soul. That's when everything starts to click, and like, I've been lied to.
Right.
This is not the way that the world is. This is not the way that life is. And you have to totally like rethink that. And sometimes that can bring on a depression. I remember when I went through it.
Yeah, if I could kind of say it in a way that to wrap my head around, it's like at that moment that this happens that you're talking about, it's sort of like viewing the glass as half empty or half full in some strange way. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel that. I felt more wonder and awe than I did like betrayal or let down or lied to.
Right.
I knew I was being lied to.
Right.
I knew that from a young age. I needed final evidence.
Right.
Concrete evidence for me that in my soul I could connect to and go, there it's it. That's it. I found it.
Yep.
And when this happened for you and to watch this happen to my own wife.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're throwing signs and things at me. I was like, yeah, I can't argue with it.
I definitely went through it. I cried a lot. I was very frustrated because one of the things that I wanted once I realized what was really going on here is I wanted all the knowledge right now. And I wanted to replace, okay, if this is not what's really going on, tell me what really is.
Yeah.
And you can't do all of that at once. And so I was really frustrated and like now 4 years later, I feel like I've really become the person that I'm supposed to be. And I felt that person in there trying to break out. But you don't know how to be that person. Right. As simple as looking around your home and going, this isn't me anymore. Right. This isn't who I am. Like, I need more things that are enlightening and, crystals and things.
Color.
That I felt color, yes. Felt very attracted to color. It was a big change, and I felt like I wasn't in the surroundings that I was supposed to be in. It was just like everything was changing really fast, and it was hard. And it was hard to also accept some of the things that you learn in the spiritual awakening, especially if you have that religious background. Because religion, it's taught that, and that's something else we could talk about. Maybe we'll just segue right into that here. Yeah. Is that we are taught, if we are religious, that this way of life, this spiritualism, is wrong, that it's the devil's work.
Right.
Why is it the devil's work?
I don't know.
Right? It's because, I'm not, and again, these episodes are opinion, and so I'm not trying to force my opinion on anyone, but my belief here is that religion doesn't want people to know the truth. They stifle people from the actual truth. And so when you finally open this up, of course this is going to be demonic or bad, because now you're getting to the truth, which isn't what the churches have been telling us.
Right.
They don't want to, like we've talked about this before, they don't want to change the Bible, even though that they know that there's things that are missing, because then it means that they're wrong, and then that's going to make them look bad. So they just keep going with old beliefs that aren't even really,
It's a way to control people, to keep the masses from, their fears that the masses will uprise and panic.
Yeah.
And if the truth comes out, well, the truth is going to come out. It's starting to come out little by little, but that's part of that awakening. And not just awakening, but moving into what we would call the new earth, is that your senses, you get more senses, first of all. They're heightened, the ones that you do have currently, and so you're more aware. That's why they call it awake. You're aware of things, and you're starting to, even in your own mind, whether you may admit it in your church or your congregation or your group of friends or you're at work, but you might actually be questioning some of these things.
Yes.
Like, well, they've been telling us for years that UFOs are just, weather balloons.
Yeah.
Things like that. But come on, I mean, this is all part of it.
Right.
We are galactic beings, just like the beings that watch and visit us.
Yep.
They mean no threat. As soon as we can drop our guard and welcome them, we will advance greatly, and we will also be allowed to venture out and travel and explore this universe like they can.
Right. Yep.
But we have to want to do it peacefully.
Right. Absolutely. In this dark night of the soul, the letting go of the religion can be one of the hardest things for people. It's like drilled into us, and especially like the Christian religion of, if you don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that you're going to hell.
Yes.
So when you go through the spiritual awakening and you start to see maybe that's not right. You're questioning, and you are taught not to question.
That in itself is teaching fear. That's teaching condemnation and fear of something that's not true.
Right.
To be quite frank, and that's just my belief. I know it's not true.
You're right.
So, but that in itself will control people. Some people. It will be enough to go, ooh, I don't want to burn in a fiery lake for eternity in a body that's not there.
Yep.
So the concept in itself is strange, but it was sort of rattling enough for me to swallow it first.
Yeah, me too.
Or try to. But it was hard to.
Yeah.
And I think I never really fully swallowed. I think I spit it back out and was like, nah, that one just, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And now, after watching you over the years, being able to connect with all different types of people and spirits, I know for sure that's not true.
Yep, absolutely. Me too. We all have our own stories of where the religion set it in our lives. And I think a lot of times, for me, it was almost like peer pressure. It was like, if you don't have a religion, then there's something wrong with you,
right.
Because I wasn't really raised with religion. And so it's like, wow, everybody around me goes to church, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should go. And, it really did a lot more damage to me than good, unfortunately,
right. Congregations and churches and gatherings in themselves are absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And amazing. The idea for it was for us to congregate together in whatever you want to call it, worship or prayer or whatever, and to use our combined energy.
Right.
Our combined energy.
Right. Right.
To pray and change things, the course of things.
Right.
Which is possible. It's just more greatly possible when you do it consciously together.
Right. Yep. And in this whole process, whether it's, with or without religion, there is a lot of questioning that happens. And I think one of my favorite things about this, I don't even want to call it a religion, but this way of life with spirituality, is that I've been allowed to pick what I want to believe. I'd not given a set of rules and said, this is what you're supposed to believe. Here's the handbook. Read it. And then know everything. That's not how this is supposed to work. We're supposed to question. We're supposed to figure things out for ourselves. And we're not going to be 100% right. But, no religion is.
Yep.
I think there's things from each one that we can take and get rid of. But it's like things like Mormonism, okay? And let's say that, like, you've never had caffeine because you're Mormon and they teach you not to. And then you start to let go of that and you go into something more like this and you're like, I really want the caffeine. I want to try it. I want to know what a regular soda's like. But you're so afraid that if you do that because you're still trapped.
Something's happening bad to you.
You're still trapped in that old belief. And so this dark night of the soul is moving you from that old belief to the new, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. When you get to their side, you're going to be floating around with Muslims and
everybody,
Mormons
no
and Jews, and it doesn't matter.
No, just like there's no male, female, there's no gender, there's no religion there.
Yes.
People don't, the souls don't ask you, what religion are you? Because you're not. You know when you get there. You know that everything is, there's no,
The issue with, the hell and that part, and I can see that really bringing on something like the dark night of the soul.
Absolutely.
I can see that really. But I had already experienced the church and sort of walked disconnected from it much earlier than, the spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
So I already knew that there was just something, it wasn't sitting totally right with me about it.
Right.
That was one of the biggest ones.
Right.
That prediction of the going to hell.
Right.
But the other issue about it that it sets up for me that really bums me out is then it gives people that are unwilling to really awake to this a cop-out. A cop-out to do things that are bad.
Yes.
That are dark themselves. And then blame it on an entity such as Satan.
Yes.
This, to me, is the biggest bunch of bullshit that I've ever heard. We all have free will. We all know, and there's people that have illness. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
And those often are involved in bad crimes and bad situations. But then there's often ones that have none of that going on. And people will use this and say, I was possessed, influenced by this to do this.
Right.
And that is a cop-out to not be accountable and accept your own karma at that moment.
Right.
Realizing that you dished the karma out, but now you got to face it.
Right.
And so this is some sort of psychological trip or cop-out that humans want to do based on that religious point of view. And I think that is sad.
It is.
Because that's just karma.
Yes.
And you're going to have to face it, whether it's this life or the next life or whatever. But we do have free will. And I honestly think that everybody, when something like that occurs, we hear a voice.
Oh, yeah.
In our own head of what we should and shouldn't do.
Yes.
Whatever choice we pick, that's the free will.
Yep.
So if somebody says, hey, don't kill this person, and you choose to kill them anyways, you have chosen your free will.
Right.
You have now created more karma.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And you were talking about how people want to blame what they do on Satan, okay?
Yeah.
And the
demons
devil.
and...
Right, exactly. But let's just take something as small as shoplifting, for example, okay? You are a human.
Yeah.
Okay? A human goes into a store and sees something and goes, I could shoplift that. that is not a devil telling you to shoplift that. That is being human. It is that side of you, that connection to the other side, that higher self, your conscience, whatever you want to call it, that tells you not to do that. It's not the devil and God fighting. And a lot of people look at it that way.
We grew up seeing that on Looney Tunes, with the devil and the angel on the shoulders.
Yes, exactly. And that's not what's happening here.
No.
You are in your story, and you are going to be faced with challenges, and that is not because there's some devil telling you to do things. And when people say, oh, the devil made me do it, that really irks me.
Yeah.
That really, really irks me. And even, any kind of crime in the name of religion or anything like that, or, that really bothers me. I don't know.
Even if it's not in the name of religion, but all of a sudden religion's brought into it.
Right.
As soon as somebody says something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Would you like to tell what's happened to us over the last few days? Because you kind of brought it up a little bit.
I had a very close friend of about 20 years pass away on last Tuesday.
It was Wednesday.
Excuse me. I'm confused.
The days, yeah.
Days are tripping me out a little bit lately. Yeah. Wednesday, sorry.
Yeah.
But I had spoke to him on Tuesday, and he passed away on Wednesday, and he was murdered by his own son. And I knew him for about 20 years. We worked together for 10 years. He got divorced and lived with me for about 4 years with that son, who would stay with us a couple days a week, going back and forth between my house and his mother's. So yeah, it's really hard to put my head around, and the grief is not easy. It's a flood, a roller coaster. 1 minute it's like, tears and sadness, and the next minute's like, no, this, this wasn't supposed to go like this.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, the more that I look at it, I go, this was supposed to go like this.
Yeah.
And he essentially took one for the team in a way that would not allow this to happen to anybody else.
Yes.
Because there is mental illness involved in the situation, and was a big reason for what happened. I was sort of talking to them the day before and trying to mediate between the two of them, and obviously, that didn't go as hoped. So.
The only way that I can describe it is trying to keep somebody from committing suicide, and they do it anyway.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, it's been really hard, but why we kind of brought this into this episode is because we're not looking at the son as evil.
No, I don't hate him.
No.
At all. I look at him and I see a lost soul.
Yes.
And I feel a lot of pain for him. I don't. That's my goal, and that was my lesson for this, was to not hate him.
Right.
I can't give that energy.
Yes. We have kind of, even though the friend just passed, we have connected to him. And also something that I've done is looked at a picture of his son and kind of tried to get into his head to see what was going on in there. And this was something that I hadn't felt before. And it was as close to what I would say people call a possession as possible. What I was feeling was like him inside trying to say, I need help. There's something going on. This isn't reality. I don't know what's going on. While this other voice was talking about the things he was talking about.
Right.
And he was fighting that other voice. This is schizophrenia.
Yeah, it was.
It's not possession. It's schizophrenia. But I've never really connected to somebody on that level of understanding what this is, where some people might have thought this guy is possessed by the devil.
Right.
And that's not at all what it is. It's there was a lot of mental illness involved in here and medications that weren't stabilized and things happening there. And this is why when these things happen, we can't throw them to, oh, it was the devil's doing.
No.
Because if we could learn more from people like this before they do this kind of stuff, we could help them more.
Yeah.
And we could deal with some of these things better instead of just counting them as the devil made me do it. And there's something, is just not there. There's a reason why these things happen. And also in this is the first kind of big loss. I mean, I think we've had one or two other people die since we went through the spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
But this is probably the biggest loss.
Yeah.
And it's taught me a lot, and it's made me realize just how much the spirituality will help you in these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Because if this would have been before the spiritual awakening, I would be so angry right now, and I think we both would be. Like, even you, when I told you, when we found out, you got really mad at first, and then you said, that's not going to do anything.
No.
It's not going to bring him back.
No.
But these are things that have changed in us since the spiritual awakening. You see things differently. You realize that sometimes it's not just about these things happening for a reason, but there's multiple reasons. Like the father, he was ready to go. He wanted out. He was protecting his ex-wife. She's alive because of him.
Yeah.
And now the son can't hurt anybody else.
No.
So it was like 3 things, boom, that we're taking care of. And it's hard to look at it like that.
Yeah, it is.
And 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't have looked at it like that. But there's always a reason why these things happen. And it's not Satan. And it's not, because God wants to see miserable things happen. It's because sometimes they make sense.
Right. No, he was hurt. He was in pain. He was hurting.
Yeah.
And he had trauma, like most of us.
Yeah.
But he also had illness.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So, but yeah, we wanted to share a little bit of that. It's so weird how it kind of happened on this week where,
it's been a little foggy.
It's really foggy. We usually record on Fridays, and today's Saturday. We just couldn't do it yesterday.
Yeah, no.
So I think we're pulling ourselves out of the fog a little bit. But yeah. So let's see what else. You know what? Let me go to what our listeners wrote here, questions that they had. So Crystal said, Ouija boards. I don't like them. I had bad experiences with them in my youth. What is your feeling about them? Episode 13, going back a long time ago.
Yeah, well.
Episode 13, we talked about Ouija boards and tarot and curses and those types of things. And I did an experiment, and I have 2 Ouija boards. I took one of them and I did a whole experiment. You can go to our YouTube and see it there. Like I said, it's episode 13, so we're talking like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you go back, you'll see me interact with this Ouija board. And hello, I'm here. Things happen to people. Bad things happen to people. It doesn't happen because you talk through a Ouija board.
Right.
If you come to a medium, I'm basically a walking, talking Ouija board.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's the same thing.
Right.
You're not going to bring evil spirits through. People that say that things happen and they go flying across the room or things start breaking. I would like to see the proof of that.
I used them growing up and just young, teenager and 20s or whatever. I never had an issue.
Yeah.
Never.
I actually have in my office, I've had 2 for a while, but I think one I never took out when we moved in here. But one of them is like a pad for like your desk, but I actually use it as a mat on the ground. So I have like a Ouija board mat. Like, shit happens. It does. But it's not because I have a Ouija board in my office.
I would be curious to know what particular incident happened, but if somebody was messing with one and then somebody died the next day, I couldn't say that was because of a Ouija board.
No.
It's your time, and that's all determined before you ever come here.
Yeah.
Usually.
You are establishing a connection to the spirit world when you're using a Ouija board. If lights start to flicker, okay, I'll take it. If, weird things start happening to your phone, I don't know. There's...
that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's not... They're just saying hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
we're here.
Your Ouija board's not gonna, rupture into flames. It's nothing like that's gonna happen. Right. That's hocus pocus fake stuff. So that's my opinion. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, ooh, no, don't touch them. but I promise you that if you go out and you buy one, that it's not going to have... The only thing that it's going to do is if you allow it to in your mind. It can do things to your mind, but, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then she had a couple other things that she had asked about.
That's a good point, actually, because it is, you know, this all is our mind.
Yes.
This whole thing, this life, this illusion, this simulation, whatever, it's your mind.
Yep.
So whatever you think, you will create.
Right.
Like thoughts are actually a thing. Mm-hmm. They go out of you as energy. So if you're thinking, I'm paranoid now, that there's a demon following me.
Right.
You're creating that reality within your mind.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And you can do that with anything.
Yes.
Absolutely anything. You were talking to your mom earlier and trying to explain that
right.
to her about watching the news.
So any strange paranormal thing at that point that you see or feel, you're equating that to some demon.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be a demon?
Yep.
What if you're actually talking to a perfectly loving, compassionate spirit that just wanted to talk because you asked to talk?
Yep, exactly. And you're just taking it the wrong way.
It's perception.
You know, it is. And there is something that can happen when a spirit comes in. Like, I get it sometimes, not so much now, but you've seen it happen to me where I get really anxious and almost start to have a panic attack. And a lot of times that's because we're not prepared for that energy and
Mm-hmm.
we're hit with it. And it's like, whoa, that was some strong energy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just their way of connecting with us.
Right.
That's not...
But you didn't die from it.
No, of course not. When I first started learning to meditate too, I realized that if the spirits were trying to talk to me and I wasn't in the right frame of mind, that I would hear weird things. And so then I started meditating and like really learned how to meditate, and I could just get rid of all of those weird things through the meditation. If there was really something as powerful as a devil, me meditating would not make him go away.
No.
These are voices in our own head because they're trying to talk to us and we're trying to talk to ourselves, and it's all getting jumbled up, and so we're hearing multiple things. And that's where meditation comes in. But it's not demons and horrible things and stuff. You know, tarot's another thing. Tarot is...
Which we also did an episode on.
That was also 13, yeah. Oh, and 108. 108 is more of the intro learning about tarot, where 13 is the you know...
We did both, right?
Yeah. But tarot is very highly accurate, and because of that, it can be scary. Mm-hmm. It can be very scary. Actually, with our friend that passed, I had pulled some tarot cards, and I said, what's going to happen? And the Justice card came out twice. I said, his son's going to jail, and I should have known right then why he was going to jail. But they are very, very accurate. And the way that they work is like how what I just said about the Justice card, that card could mean a lot of things. But I knew when I saw it come out not once but twice that it meant that he was going to jail. I knew that. And that's how psychics use them. It's a tool to help us to understand better. I use them a lot when I do love readings. It just helps me connect to the situation. I know that if the good positive cards come out, that this is a positive relationship. If the negative relationship cards come out, then we need to discuss that. It's just a tool, just like the Ouija board that psychics use. They're not tools of the devil at all. No. At all. And they're very helpful.
They're placed here for us to communicate with.
Yeah. You know, they can look scary. Anything can. Again, with your perception. I don't use like your standard tarot cards anymore. I use one that has these really cool drawings on them, because I read the story within the drawing, and that helps me to see what's going on. So definitely I would say don't turn away the tarot, because it's good. It's good.
Yeah, because even the standard ones, which I really like, they still have a story you can read.
Yeah.
Visually.
Yeah, they do.
But the ones you're talking about are pretty cool, yeah.
I really can get into the story there. I enjoy that. Okay, and then also Crystal asked, do you think that spirits or hauntings can be mistaken with imprinted energy left behind in dwellings or even other dimensions popping through the veil? Yes, absolutely. We did. So Spirits and Haunting number 27, episode 27. We also, there's an episode where we went to what used to be a mental hospital and talked to some of the spirits, some of the people that were there. And, you know, this is a whole other thing that we get all kind of misconstrued on. People believe that if there's if a house is haunted, it means that there's a spirit that lives there all the time and is like occupying
That
this house.
wishes you harm.
Right, exactly. And that's not what's happening at all.
No.
Spirits aren't confined to one place. They do not have to stay where they died or anything like that. And I think that's where our misconception comes in is, ooh, this place is haunted because somebody died here. Yeah, the energy could still be there, for sure. Like, we're just energy. All of us, we're made of energy. And so when somebody dies, their soul goes, but the body stays. And some of the energy is left behind too. And that needs someplace to go. Yeah. And that's where you come into like the dark energy, And a lot of that comes from our own thoughts. Actually, there is one question here. Our Betty girl is very vocal today. I don't know if you hear all this in
growling.
The background. Yeah, she's very...
Stop talking about it.
Yeah, stop talking. She had a bath today. She's happy. Okay. All right. Where is this question? Okay, so Sunshine asked, the difference in light and dark power, is it real or just storytell? My mom taught me in Love and Light, but really, should I worry about dark matters? Do I really need to protect my doors and windows with salt and smoke? Does it only work because I believe it? Does a window really have to be open to get a spirit out while smudging? Okay, let's talk about the smudging. When you're doing this, when you're taking sage or whatever you use to smudge your house, you are not getting rid of negative spirits or bad spirits. You are getting rid of the negative energy in your house. Yeah. What's the difference? Okay. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as negative or bad spirits. They're all good. They're all souls. They're all have had multiple lives. You can't say that Hitler is bad, his soul is bad and has gone to a bad place because he had many other lives besides that, okay? So, that when you're smudging, what you're getting rid of is negative energy in your home that is most likely caused by you or people that have come into your home. If you've had arguments, if you've been feeling really stressed, if energy that is absorbed that is not necessarily yours, those things. Yeah. We do that to get rid of it. Is it all in our heads? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, absolutely. Do the windows need to be open? Probably not. Do I open them when I smudge? Yeah, I do. Why? Because it's what I believe.
Right.
Is that the way it has to be? Probably not.
If this is all... and from what I believe and understand, this is all a conscious simulation. We create all this into thought from the other side.
Yep.
And then because like you were saying, spirits are not, they can be in multiple places at one time. They're not always in the place they died or the place they're buried or the place they were born. But if someone's going there seeking in like some adventurous are like, oh, let's go. I found this haunted house, supposedly haunted house. Let's go in there and see if we feel anything. Well, you're seeking affirmation, right? From the other side that there's energy, and that's what you get.
Right.
But it's misconstrued by our minds because it's a dark, dingy, scary looking building that we've seen in 100 million horror movies that this is bad.
And what we've been taught,
And what we've been taught that this is bad.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right. It's not. One thing that I can promise you, and if you can show me proof of otherwise, then I'll take you back, is that nothing from the spirit world will ever hurt you.
No.
That is not what they do.
Right.
There is not... You know what? I've tested it all.
Right.
I've tested it all. You guys hear how our life has changed and gotten better. And things happen to us. Yeah, we had a friend that died. Okay, that happens. That wasn't to our life. It just affected us. That was his life.
Yeah.
You can't count that as something that's happened to you. You know what I mean? These are all like, we count everything that's bad. Oh, I went out and somebody was mean to me. Oh, so it was bad. But you got to let all that go. Right. You got to let it all go.
It's all experience.
Yep.
It really is all experience. And if we're consciously created this simulation for that reason, is there dark energy and light energy in this simulation we've created?
Oh,
yes. Of course there is.
Yep.
And kind of back to that question, Star Wars is kind of a corny but great analogy that there is the force.
Yeah.
There's the dark side and there's the force. And if you want to dive into the dark side and spend your life there, that's what you will see and that's what you will live.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a part of the force or the light side, that's what you will see and that will be your reality.
That's right. Right. Star Wars is a great metaphor. There's a lot of things
It very
in there.
much, it very much is, and it's cool because there's no religion.
Right. Exactly.
There's no religion.
Yeah, it's true. I never
but
really
it's the
thought
same
about that.
concept, but
Yeah.
there's no God in it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to take God out of the equation. I mean God in the sense of religion. There's no idol like Christ or Buddha or anything like that.
Right.
You know, there's just good and evil.
Yep.
And that's essentially our world. There is dark energy.
Yes.
And there are places that we all go at times in our lives, in our mind, whether it's depression or sadness or
Anger.
some people anger and murder and things like that. That is a place you can go and that you can stay while you're here.
Yeah.
But once you leave this planet, that does not exist anymore because the simulation is over.
Right. Yep. We talk about hell and demons, and I believe all of that is right here, and it's all caused by humans.
Yes.
And, you know, some people don't want to believe that, but if you look at it, the God, the universe, is not causing people to commit murder or do other bad things. That it's that person, it's the human inside of them. That's, you know,
right.
We have to stop trying to cover it up with that. Oh, Satan made me do it, or it's my religion, or whatever, because that's not the case. You know. One other thing I wanted to just talk about while we still have a few minutes left is one of the reasons why I came up with this idea for this episode is because I received a message from a friend who I also do readings for, and she said that she needed my help because she had a mammogram that came back bad, and she was really nervous about it and all that. But she said, I believe that a curse is on me, that these women that don't like me are making this happen to me. Okay, so I wanted to address these kinds of things because when you tell yourself that you believe that there's a curse on you, there will be a curse on you because you're causing it.
Yeah.
Not because other people actually put a curse on you. Curses aren't real.
Right.
They're not. You can make somebody believe that, but they're not. And a curse is not going to make you have some kind of health issue.
Right.
But your own mind can make you have health issues.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that if you have a lot of anxiety, anger, anything that's pent up that you're not releasing, you're storing it somewhere in your body.
Right.
And sometimes you get sick and things happen because of that.
Yep.
That's not always what happens here, though. You know, it could be foods that you're eating.
It could be foods, or it could be a chemical that you're in contact with regularly.
Yeah.
It could be those things too, but absolutely what you just said is more than true. That we can make ourselves sick with worry.
Absolutely, we can. We can give ourselves anything that we're thinking. You know,
Right.
I had horrible OCD when I was in my 20s, and I could absolutely make myself feel sick just by thinking that I was sick. My grandmother, every time I would call her, I would say, how are you, Grandma? And she'd say, oh, I have a fever. What's your fever? Oh, it's 98.5, but that's not normal for me, and I'm hot, and I'm sick, and I'm that. Every time, and she lived in this reality of being sick all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Yeah.
We can make ourselves sick. If you believe, even if you come in contact with a cold, I truly believe this, even with coronavirus, you come in contact with it and you say, I'm not getting that, most likely you're not going to get it. If you truly believe it, because it's our minds. It really is. Our minds allow us a lot of times to let our guard down. It's absolutely more than what we realize. Illness is not caused by curses or things like that. It's a lot of times caused by our own brains and experiences and stuff.
Yep.
So curses, no, none of that's real. Voodoo dolls, none of that.
No.
Again, this is our opinion, but I'm telling you, I've tested it all. My mom had a voodoo doll that was given to her, And I had that thing for years after she died, and I was so afraid of it. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I kept asking people, what do you do with a voodoo doll? Looking it up. Oh, you have to burn it. Oh, you have to bury it. You know, that when we moved from our apartment into our first house, I threw it away.
Yeah.
And I'm still
Nothing bad has happened.
Yeah. But everybody made me feel that I talked to you about it like, oh, don't do that. Don't throw it away.
I mean, I shouldn't say nothing bad hasn't happened, because bad things happen to people all the time.
Yeah.
That's just a part of this world and the experience. We're supposed to experience the highs and lows.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not pinned to a dark entity or a devil or a demon. It's just not.
It's not. It's just the way that our lives go.
It's how we learn.
We all have the ups and the downs. We all have the bad that comes. We all have the good. We all have the dark. We all have the light. It's balance. And that's how the universe works. It's balance. So I'm sure that there's other things we could cover in this topic, but that, I think, covers a lot of the dark aspects of spirituality. And actually, if you look at it, if you look at all the things that we've talked about, most of the dark side is myth, is false.
Yeah.
And the other one, the dark side, when what's the dark night of the soul that I was looking for, that's created by getting rid of the old beliefs. So that's not even bad. We're ridding ourselves of the bad beliefs.
Yeah.
So the dark turns to light.
Yeah.
Yep.
We are light. We are extensions of God.
That we are.
That is my true belief, is that when what we would call the Big Bang happened, it all blew out. And God said, or the creator or the source said to us, go out and experience all these things. And then when you're done, you come back to me and you share with me what that experience was like. And then that is all recorded in the universe forever. Every experience of every soul, so God could understand what it's like to stand on a planet and be in a body. He did it for all of us, not just Christ, not just Buddha.
Right.
All of us are to report back to him our experience, and those are good, bad, ugly, and indifferent.
And we all have them. There is nobody that you will ever find that will tell you, my life has been perfectly peaches and cream the whole way through. We all have bad, we all have good.
Yeah.
It's just what we choose to do with it and how we choose to look at it. And you can look at it from the dark side or the light side.
And believe it or not, we all wanted to do this over and over and over.
Yeah.
I think we'll find out why.
Yeah. That's something sometimes you're like, why? Why did I choose to come to Earth during this time? Well, because it's, look at the time it is. Look at how you can help. Look how you can be a light worker, you know. There's a lot going on in our world, and there has been for a while. But those of us that are here, you know, doing this work, we're here. We chose to be here to help to help awaken people.
This is a particularly exciting time on this planet.
I agree. Yep.
And it will continue to be, but there's a lot of change that will take place.
Oh, yeah. Over time.
And it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
But it's already happening.
Yeah. People are waking up.
This information that's been hidden for so long, buried in so many different civilizations that had this knowledge and this connection that were wiped out. Things like Atlantis, ancient Egypt, these types of places. And there were many more that we don't even know about previous to that had all this and wiped out and start the slate clean over again because there's something we're abusing in a lesson we're not learning.
Right.
And so we're back to this point now where this information is coming out slowly, but it's happening.
Yep.
And the change is occurring.
Yep.
It's what will we do with it this time?
Yeah. Yep.
This time will be different.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you can read about it in biblical terms and you can read about it in other ways, but there will be a massive change, but a massive change for all.
Yeah.
Of good
for
humanity.
Yeah.
So I'm seems like a chaotic time. Like, why did we pick this?
Mm-hmm.
But I get it.
I do too, yeah.
Because it is something that we are kind of trying to be at the forefront of in helping spread that kind of information and maybe alleviate people's fears.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what I try to do is, help alleviate the fears, because that really ties us down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
Yay.
Very good.
Very good.
Awesome. Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, would you like to share your information really fast?
Yes. So you can find me on the web, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Spiritual Joneses, and email us at spiritualjoneses@gmail.com. And then you, sir.
Yes, for my art, djonesart, or the web, djonesartcollection.com, and at djonesartcollection for Instagram and Facebook. And that's it for me for today.
Very good.
Cool.
Yay.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
That we do.
I did. And thanks for the participation, the questions.
Yes, we love our discussion group. Thank you so much.
Yep. Really do.
Yes.
And everybody's nice messages that did share about our loss and stuff.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it.
Yep.
And we hope everybody has a great week.
That we do.
Until next week. Peace and love.